to the home that you're trying to buy or sell. Dot Frank from Better Homes and Gardens Real Estate Alliance Group is here to answer those questions. Good morning, and thanks for being here.
Good morning.
That is such a good topic, and the reason I say that, we just sold our house a couple of months ago, and that was something that crossed my mind. What if in the interim something happens to the home?
Yeah, I mean, so part of a transaction is a commitment by the seller to keep the house insured, right, leading up to closing. And so for the most part, you should be able to file claims if there's something substantial that transpires before closing, particularly when it comes to severe weather. But a lot of people don't know what to do. Where do I turn if after a hailstorm I've got hail damage or I have some tree limbs that are down? So I think it's important for people to understand that things happen that are outside of your control, but that doesn't mean necessarily that it has to derail the transaction.
Okay, so who is that up to then to continue to do? Is it up to the buyer that says, yes, we want to continue with this, you know, do the cleanup and do the maintenance, whatever has to happen here, whether it be roofing or siding or whatever?
Yeah, and so, you know, contractually there might be some, you know, specific nuances of the deal. So I'd always kind of suggest that you go back to the contract to see if there's anything specific in that. But as a general rule of thumb, you're still responsible for maintaining the condition of your home, which is what the offer was based on, right? So as a seller, it would be your responsibility to mitigate and repair some damages. Now, you know, sometimes that might be contingent on the severity of it, the timeline associated with closing. Maybe you just can't pull off a repair in time prior to closing. Or there's just contractor inavailability, right? We don't have someone that can come out and fix this. And so I think that anytime you have damage, it's really important, as building, one of the agents in our office had shared with me, really important to stem off any future damage. So if you've got an active leak in your roof or in your home,
your skylight's broke,
pull out the bucket, right? Like, you don't want to make it worse. So I would mitigate any damage that you have. In fact, he had some really great suggestions, simple things, having a 5-gallon bucket at your house and available at all times, not just for people who are involved in a transaction, but just homeowners in general. Buckets come in really handy.
Yeah, they do.
Sump pumps, right? Having a sump pump available in case you need it. But mitigate any damage. Definitely reach out to your real estate agent, because that agent will be able to talk you through next steps. They'll be able to communicate with the buyer's agent to make sure that they're informed, and they'll be able to connect you with some contractors, whether it's for remediation and repair, you know, or estimates. And so I would say have on the phone your realtor right away, and then definitely reach out to insurance, right? Because you want to get an adjuster out to expedite these investigations so you continue to work towards closing.
You know, you brought up a good point. Like, you know, it is your responsibility to still take care of it. I think that it's easy to, when it is our home, it's not for sale, or it hasn't been sold, you know what to do, but there's that uncertainty that comes with it of, you know, what do I do here? So what you're saying is, get a hold of your insurance agent and get a hold of your realtor right away so that the communication can go back to the buyer's realtor as well.
Absolutely, because like I said, you know, sometimes you've got time restrictions and access to repairs, and so there are some options. If you can't get the work done in time to close, you could talk about creating an escrow account for repairs. So there are workarounds, because this happens, right, all the time, and your agent has probably experienced it with another client, so they can really provide some guidance and peace of mind.
Okay, now I've got 2 more questions. One of them being, realtors have a program set up just for this, right?
Yeah, well, so something similar to this. And so what's kind of really cool is, after we had September 11th tragedies, there's a Realtor Relief Foundation that was formed with the National Association of Realtors. And what that does is it encourages agents to donate money into a pool of funds that people can draw upon in case of natural disasters or emergencies. Locally, we've utilized that fund for the flood, and now most recently our state office, so the North Dakota Association of Realtors, was successful in obtaining a $50,000 grant, so this is forgivable, that is accessible to victims of the tornadoes that we had this summer. So if you experience loss to your housing, whether you're an owner or a renter even, you may be eligible to apply for a $1,000 grant. Renters, the eligibility eligibility is $500. There's some nuances if your house is paid off or if you still have a mortgage, but it's a pretty straightforward process. Really, we encourage people to check out the North Dakota Association of Realtors website for details, but just, you know, immediate access to funds is something that really helps people out, because a lot of times the funding gets kind of tangled in insurance neverland. And so those funds don't come immediately. This, once you're approved, you've got access to that money so you can kind of weather the storm, per se.
Yeah, good pun right there. There's the information for Better Homes and Gardens Real Estate Alliance Group. Such an interesting topic because, like I say, it is something that entered my mind, that crossed my mind when the house was for sale and an agreement had been signed to sell the home. What if something happens during that time? So,
Yeah.
great information, Dot. We appreciate it, and we'll see you in a couple of weeks.